Hello, hello. Can you believe it is May? I feel like my camera is a little weird. My head is cut off. Let's see if I can fix that. I feel like I need to get, and I would love if you have feedback on a favorite camera. I have a Logitech, but it doesn't allow you to kind of zoom in and out. So sometimes I feel like the angle is really odd. So if you have one that you love, drop it in the comments. I probably need to get a different one. I had one that I loved. I broke. It was a Logitech. So I was like, oh, it was great. Got this one and don't love it. But who is excited for May? So we're going to talk today a little bit about changing how you think to change everything else. If you guys saw my post, I'm really, really excited. My friend Corey launched her book, Future You Activated. If you go to my links here, and I know it's cut off if you're watching vertical, but it's just taragonline.com/links. There's a link to get this. I often tell this story about Corey, but I haven't in a while. So I'm going to tell you about how one person can change your life. And how sometimes alignment is things you don't even realize. So years ago, I met Corey because we were at this terrible networking event. It was the first networking event I ever went to. It kind of turned me off from networking because there were these two men there that were super aggressive, literally threw business cards at me, like at a table, threw a business card and we're like, do you have a card? Do you have a card? And I remember just kind of stepping back and thinking, oh my goodness, if this is what networking is, I'm out. Like, I don't want to do this. I was in the middle of my divorce. I was in the middle of Emily's cancer. And no, actually, she didn't have cancer yet because I wouldn't have been networking. It was right before her cancer. I was in the middle of my divorce. She didn't have cancer yet. And I thought, well, prior to that, I had done a lot of my business with brides. I used to be an exclusive vendor with David's Bridal and with moms through like moms groups. And now I'm in the middle of this divorce and I'm like, okay, I don't want to work with brides and I don't want to work with new moms. And I definitely don't want to work with brides, right? So I cancel all my bridal contracts. I'm like, I'm not doing brides anymore. And I'm like, I don't really want to work with new moms and hear about how happy they are and married and everything. I was like, what do I want to do? And I'm thinking, I want to go to happy hour and drink wine. That's what I want to do, right? So I decided networking was going to be what was best for me. And there is a business lesson in there. The business lesson is, what do you enjoy? What is fun for you? Sometimes when I'm working with a new business owner and she's trying to figure out like, how do I market my business, or how do I work my business, or how do I find clients? And I'm like, well, what's fun for you? Don't do stuff that's not fun because you're not going to want to do it over and over and over again. So I thought, well, it'll be fun for me to go to like a networking event where I can get a glass of wine and hang out, right? So that was what caused me to go to this networking event. And it was just horrible. But I also really believe, and good business lessons. I believe that when you show up, good things happen, even if it's not what you think is going to happen. And the good thing that happened was Corey sat next to me. We were both living in Colorado at the time. She had this company called Conscious 360. It was like business owners who were like eco-sustainable, earth-friendly people. And she doesn't even have that business anymore. This is like 20 years ago, right? Not quite, 17 years ago. And or maybe longer, maybe 18, somewhere there. And I thought, well, she was really great. I loved her energy. I loved her alignment. She was awesome. Everybody else there was just, I was like, I don't think I'll ever network again, right? But we became good friends. And I believe that God aligns you with the people who are meant to be in your life. And so Corey does a lot of work with kind of energetically clearing. Now, what's really interesting is, you guys know I'm a Christian. And so that really drives my life, my beliefs, how I work, how I show up, what's important to me. And she does, she is not, and she works all with this energy. And it's so funny because as I've worked with her over the years, she will say things and I'm like, that was in the Bible. And she's like, what? And I'm like, yeah. That quote you think is new age is actually biblically based, right? Because if we think about it in the Bible, God says we are made in his image and we are made to create. We are told to watch our words, that what we say, and because how did God create, right? He spoke it into existence. God spoke the world into existence. He said, let there be light, and there was light. And we are made in his image. And what we say out loud, we create. And what I find fascinating about science is that the more you dig into science, the more it backs what we already know from the Bible. Like, we know that when we say something, it is more likely to transpire. That is the power of our voice. And so this is why people say affirmations, right? Because we know what we say. I'm going to turn my phone off. What we say creates. And so even things like it says in the Bible, you should be able to look at the mountain and say to the mountain, move, and it should move. we do not use, we have not tapped into really what we're capable of creating, right? And shifting our realities and shifting what we're experiencing. And so I think a lot of this manifestation and New Age movement kind of takes God out of it when really it was all biblically based, right? So it's funny that we have so much in common. We just use very different language. And and I do think you need to be cautious. I will preface this as a Christian. I think you need to be cautious with the people that do work like that because they are not all from like God, Holy Spirit, that kind of thing. So I'm always very, praying a shield of protection, praying for wisdom and discernment. And Corey has always been someone who has the most beautiful light to me. Like she just embodies that light. And she was doing this workshop, and it was in the middle of absolutely probably the most horrific season in my life. I mean, Emily was in the throes of cancer. I was dealing with my ex-husband, lots of domestic violence, restraining orders, police at my house, one of the most horrific seasons, right? And she was doing this workshop, and where she was working with shifting their realities, clearing out energies, all of this kind of stuff. And she wanted me to go. And I was like, okay, I was going to go, right? I was going to go. And then the day I was going to go, there was a snowstorm. And she was charging quite a bit for this workshop. So let me just preface. And I was in a season where I was living off of fundraisers. So she said, I'm going to gift this to you. I think this could really help you because I was in such a state of like, right? Like my energy was so like, right? And she's like, I feel like this could really, really help you. I'm going to gift this to you. Come as my guest. And the day I was supposed to go, it snowed. And I called her and I said, I don't drive in the snow. I am not going. I am so sorry. And I didn't go. Now, how many of you would say, well, that was a sign? That was a sign from God, that I shouldn't go. And so I kind of left it at that. Well, a few weeks go by, maybe a month or so, and she says, hey, I'm doing that workshop again. It's going to be on this Saturday. I would love for you to come. But I had committed to teaching an event for my business. And I said to her, I can't. I am trying to get back to work. I am trying to get back to business. I really need to make money. I can't come to your event because I've already committed to teaching and we already have reservations and guests and like, thank you, but there's just no way I can cancel on this. I need this money, right? She said, okay, well, if anything changes, let me know. Well, that morning I get up, it's a Saturday, I get up and I go to the event. And do you know that every single person canceled? Every single guest canceled. That had never happened before and that had never happened since. But that day, every single guest canceled. And I called her and I said, Corey, I think I can go. And this is her. This is her. I said, Corey, I think I can go. She said, okay, great, come. And I went to that workshop. And I don't remember all that we did that day, but part of it was kind of acknowledging where we were creating our own mess in our life, where we were blaming other people, where we were playing victim to our circumstances, and where we were kind of pushing against things and really stepping into your own power, stepping into your own alignment, a lot of acceptance, like accepting we can't control other people, we can't control other circumstances, right? We can only control us. And so there was a lot of this kind of work. And I do not remember all that we did. I remember at one point she came in, she sat next to me and she asked me some questions that were difficult questions, because at the time I had a lot of anger about my, what was going on in my divorce and a lot of anger, right? And so she asked me some really difficult questions that I had to face that anger and decide if I was going to keep it or not. Well, I go home and within 24 hours, my entire life changed. And I'm not going to get into all of the details for my daughter's privacy, but everything changed in court. Everything changed with my ex-husband. My daughter, that was the last my daughter ever had contact with her father. I had been saying to the court for years, he is dangerous. He's an alcoholic. He's abusive. He is dangerous. He is violent. I don't want her there. And the court had been saying the mother's crazy. She hates him. She's whatever, what happens. And within 24 hours, all of that changed. All of that changed. They stepped in, that she was protected. There was an order of protection. Everything changed in 24 hours. And I really believe it was because God aligned this woman in my life that later on was going to change my life. And I will tell you, over the years, I have worked with her since then. And every time I have been in her space, worked with her, been at an event that she's done, shifts happen in my life. Energy opens, blessings come, mind shift happens. And so, why am I sharing this all with you? Because I am on my soapbox telling you guys that she just got a book, and it literally just came out last week. And it's now a bestseller in like multiple countries. But this allows you to have access to her in a book for like less than $10. People spend thousands of dollars to work with her, less than $10 in a book. And so I strongly believe that I remember years ago hearing that you will be the same person a year from now as you are today, except for the people you meet, the experiences you have, and the books that you read. That those three things will change you. And I'm curious, how many of you believe that to be true? What will change your life? The people you meet, the experiences you have, and the books that you read. And so this is one. And so I cannot encourage you enough to grab your copy and to get this. I'm a huge believer that books change people's lives. On my team, we're starting a book club on Monday. We've done book clubs in the past. We haven't done one in the last year, so we're starting one. We're actually going to be doing this one, Think and Grow Rich. This is a famous book, and you can see I've already read this book. There are pages that I like a book because I can highlight. I know some of our girls are doing it on an audio book, but I like to be able to write and highlight on it. And so we're just meeting accountability once a week to kind of check in, because here's what I know as I'm working with women who want to be in leadership. They have entrepreneurial ventures. They want to move into leadership position. They want to increase their income and their impact. That all starts with here. That all starts here. I also think that's the best part and the worst part. Often when I've wanted to change my business, and when you change your business, you change your life, right? So hand in hand. I thought, well, just tell me what to do so I can do it. And the answer has always been, well, you have to change how you think first. You have to change how you show up first. You have to change how you see yourself first. You have to change the energy that you're giving out to other people. That's what has to change. The doing part is easy. It's the be, do, have, right? You have to be that person first in order to do what that person would do so you can have what that person would have. There is just no way around that. I have tried for 28 years to do it the opposite, right? We just want to have it, and then we'll do those things, and then we'll be that person. And that is not how the universe works. That is not how God aligned it. So I hope as we go into the weekend, first of all, I hope you're excited for May. I was sitting on pins on needles this morning to find out about all the new promotions that are happening in May. And I'm really excited. Within my business, they just announced some huge promotions and things that my team members can get. And within Hey Girl You Can, I'm so excited. We have a Letitia Gibbs coming next week to our in-person event. And she's going to be teaching women how to be able to access grants for their business. So if you are a New Jersey woman and you're looking to network, you have an opportunity to join us next Thursday for that. We also have so many great events coming up. And what's been really wonderful for me is that our CEO Clarity Method, which is basically our Business 101, 102, and 103 program, that method is in our Hey Girl You Can community. So when somebody joins, they instantly get access to that method. It's a 9-week method. It walks them step by step, everything they need to be able to start, scale, and sustain their business. And so as our members are walking through this, and they can work it at their own pace and utilize the workbook and the videos and all the training, the feedback I'm getting is so phenomenal, because I basically took everything that I know about business in the last 28 years and put it into a program to be able to support women business owners. And so I'm so excited for them to be able to take advantage of that. And so if you have a business and you are looking for support and mentorship, you can go here, go to the tarahgonline.com/links, check out our community. Become a member. If you don't have a business and you're like, I've been looking for a business, I've been looking at different opportunities, I'd love to be an entrepreneur, I'm looking for a venture that I could start, DM me. Let's talk about what kind of business might be right for you. I can tell you about the business I started years ago. I can tell you what to look for in businesses, important questions to ask that I didn't know to ask, and find your spot, find your best place. But I will forever be grateful to Corey. And She not only changed my life, she literally changed my daughter's life. And Emily, for some of you saw my post, she just turned 20 yesterday, which is wild. And you realize how whatever your circumstances are, they will change, good or bad. Because I remember at a time when she was 3, and I would pray that she would be 7, because 7 was like, okay, she would be in like a remission. I could take a breath. I could take I could take a breath and breathe. And 7 felt so far away. And I would just sit and visualize her getting her license. And I would visualize her going to prom. And I would visualize her graduating. And that was at a time when they told me those things probably were not going to happen. And I would just visualize it anyway. And I would just imagine, what will that be like? What will that be like? And we would talk about it. I would talk to her about it. I would say, Em, when you get your license and you start driving, that's going to be scarier than cancer. That's going to be scarier for mommy than cancer. Can you imagine you in a car? And I would visualize what I wanted to happen, what I wanted to be true. And so the idea that she is no longer even a teenager, that she is 20, oh my gosh. Like, it is just wild to think how far we have come. And so I share that with you because whatever is going on in your life, whatever pain, whatever trauma, whatever hardship you are going through, you are stronger than you think. You are building your resiliency. You are able to get through that. And on the other side, it will be different. I think sometimes we think we want to go back to that life before all that pain or whatever happened. There's really no life to go back to. It's a new normal. It's a new life, but you can choose to take gifts and lessons and blessings from that season, no matter how hard they are. No matter how hard they are. And so I just appreciate so many of you who prayed for us, who supported us during that time, who followed her journey, who have been with us for like 17 years, watching her grow up. And so thank you for each of you who've been part of that. You truly are part of that journey. And I hope you guys have an amazing weekend and go into May so excited for this new month. And I will see you next Wednesday. Bye, everybody.